around 20 years back, I wouldn't have imagined working on computer. There was no technology. I was using Braille, and Braille books were very rare. And then I got to learn that there is a software known as screen reader, which uses text-to-speech technology to read the information for a blind person. It was a life-changing event. I almost got my eyes back. And it was so great. I could read on my own, write on my own. I could communicate with my friends. Earlier, I only could communicate with Braille or maybe with the help of somebody. And to top it, I could even program. I was hearing people were coding. They used to talk about programming. I had no idea. But when I got to know screen reader, my hopes were soaring high. So I decided to do a formal study, but there was a problem. I needed to study mathematics, and I hadn't studied maths after 8th grade because of a skewed perception that blind persons can't do maths. So I kind of explored and found out that there were some e-books available, so I read them, but for advanced mathematics, I couldn't find anything. At that point of time, my mentor, Mr. Dipendra, he told me that there is a library in the United States where there are math and science and computer books, but these books were actually not accessible for us. Why? Because they were using a special formatted cassettes which could record 4 hours of material, but because of the copyright restrictions, these books cannot be played on a regular cassette player. And a cassette player which would play these books was costing $200. And at that time, my dad had already spent on buying a computer for me, and I didn't want further burden on him. So I and my dad, we got together and we explored and we figured out that if there used to be a cassette player in car stereos, which would reverse the cassette on its own if you just need to press a button. So it dawned on me that this particular cassette player has a special head which can actually play multiple tracks, because each left and right channel could be used for a separate track, and if we reduce the speed, we could store more content because we don't need that high fidelity. So all this was already done. I just had to make a new cassette player. So I, with the help of my dad, and both of us had no idea in how to do soldering and other things, we were able to create a modified cassette player in just 100 rupees. This happened because of my experience with my brother, who was also interested in electronics, but at that time I thought I can't do anything. Once I had finished my studies, I decided that, okay, why not? I have to work on some significant problem, and the most significant problem that appeared at that time, that screen readers were costing around 45 to 50,000 rupees. And it was not possible for a regular Indian person to buy them. Besides, they were not supporting Indian languages. So we decided to work on an open source screen reader. That was a very thrilling experience. At one hand, I learned how to design something, how to develop a software, and without having any book, because screen readers are not a popular software. So you have to really read a lot, Google search a lot, and figure out how to find a solution. This later helped many persons with disability. People were able to take their tests with the help of this software, and they were able to use it in their office environments. Next, in few years, I joined Sapient, and in Sapient, I've been working on enhancing another screen reader, which is known as NVDA, which is another open source software which is better than the one that I had created. So I just switched, and now we are creating software which can also help persons with disability to study technical subjects like mathematics. Our focus latest has been that as up till now, images have been a big problem. We have been reading a lot. 90 to 90% of the content has been accessible, but images were not readable. Now, with the help of machine learning and cognitive APIs, we are able to create a software which is recognizing image. It may not be always correct. Sometimes it reads out as a soft drink bottle, as a beer bottle. So I'm okay with it as long as it says it's a bottle. So this was my story. Now the thing is, it's not an isolated story. Approximately 1.2 billion persons are supposed to be persons with disability as per World Health Organization. And on top of it, at working age population, around 22% persons are persons with disability as per a study done by Forrester and with Microsoft. And this survey also suggests that accessible solutions helps 60% of the population. I actually didn't believe it, but I have to believe because they have done a survey of 15,000 people, which is a big sample size. And the reason what they suggest is that many persons may not identify themselves as a person with disability, but different people have different spectrums of abilities. So somebody might have a keener sight, but somebody may have a low vision, or somebody may just have a color blindness. So many persons benefit from it. Around 38% persons benefit who are not considered persons with disability. I'll come back to another 40%. Now what you can do. First thing is that when you are designing something, instead of thinking about one user who might be perfect in eyesight, perfect in hand-eye coordination, or perfect in hearing, think about sensory independence, or what they call it, perceivability, which is about that if a content is an image, there could be a text description which can be processed by a software. If there is an audio only, there should be some caption so that a hearing impaired person can understand it. Similarly, if there is a video, it would help if important video contents are described in an audio. So I had a very nice experience when I wanted to watch a Baby's Day Out, if you have watched that movie. It's a very visual movie. Both of us, my wife and I, we are blind, and we were watching that movie with an audio description. And it was so amazing to watch that, because everything was explained and we could have a fun as much as with sight could have. So the point here is, it's not the sense. If I don't have an eyesight, it doesn't matter, as long as I can access information in another way, that like touch or maybe hearing. Another aspect of accessibility is programmatic access, which essentially means that the software should be semantically understandable, which in a way also helps when you are automating software. Often, a problem is that people sometimes create visual perceptions without having the semantics in it. One good example is people sometimes on websites create tables with divs and they style them with style sheets, but those divs are not like a table. So semantic has to be important. Similarly, for the other controls where desktop and mobile, if you use standard controls, they are mostly accessible. But if you are using custom controls, which your project might require, it would be useful to have a built-in accessibility API so that assistive technology can access that information. Another problem that many persons face is that often user interfaces are designed considering only one type of user, maybe somebody only with mouse. That's not the case with many persons with disability, with visual disabilities, or maybe with mobility disabilities. So people use specialized software which help them navigate in the user interface, but the user interface has to support device independence so that people can use different input devices. Then the interface should be simple. Many persons with disability find it difficult to interact with a complicated interface. Actually, I would say many persons in general would find it difficult to interact with an interface. One of the reasons of iPhone's success has been that it has been most accessible for persons with disability, and it is also helping other persons who are not disabled. When it comes to organizations could support infrastructure level projects such as NVDA. Another project that Sapient has taken up is a Braille display, which if it becomes available, I would be able to make a presentation using a Braille display itself, which is quite a remarkable thing. And the problem again here is that the Braille displays do exist, but the existing ones cost like 2 lakh rupees. And so Sapient with Paul D'Souza is trying to build a Braille display which is within the range of an ordinary person. Accessibility is not, as I said earlier, that study finds that accessibility is useful for 60% of the population. I'm not going to leave remaining 40% as well. Accessibility is like an insurance. Such things can happen to anybody through accidents, through aging. Approximately 50% of the persons above 65 are considered persons with disabilities, and so it is for everybody. Just like an insurance, if we build accessible solutions, we can create a society in which disability is not an end. Once you become disabled, you can still continue doing your job. Here I will quote one anecdote. A person, she met an accident, and after that accident she lost her eyesight. But because of screen readers, she didn't lose her job. She's still economically independent, and she is now working as a general manager in a company. So it's not that disability is not at all a problem, but it has become a nuisance rather than an end. I would like to say one thing, that solutions are available online. Just a simple Google search can give you, like if you're developing for mobile, if you're developing for web or for any other platform, you just need to have an intent. And once you have the intent, we can make a better world. Thanks a lot.